About 4 years ago, a stranger broke into my house and started cooking. Now I knew nobody would believe me, so I took out my camera and I started recording them, and then I posted it on YouTube, and now that video has 3 million views. 3 million views. That's a lot of views. Where all these people come from? I never thought that video would get so much attention, and I've been meaning to talk about it, so here's what happened. It's October 10th, 2016. It's a Monday. I'm chilling, it's a late afternoon, I'm working on my homework, doing my own thing, and then all of a sudden I hear somebody knocking on my window. And to my surprise, it's someone that I've never seen before. She was dark skinned, around 5'2". She had her hair tied with some cloth, and she had a backpack on, and she had handbags of, I don't know, what it seemed like magazines or papers. And she said, "Oh, I'm looking for somebody, blah, blah, blah." She asked me if she could use my phone, and I said, "Sure, but only on one condition. You have to talk through speakerphone through the door. Who knows what would happen if I just open a door, you know what I mean?" She replied, "Yeah, that's fine." I said, "Okay, what's their number?" And then it got a little bit weird. She was quiet for about 2 minutes. She took off her backpack and went to dig through her stuff. And when I saw her open her backpack and put her bags down, I noticed that everything was just paper. For example, when we were in high school and there are different folders and different colors, that's what her backpack looked like. So then I started putting the pieces together. Maybe she's a runaway student, maybe she's just not all there. I asked her if she knew the names of her relatives or her friends that she's looking for. Maybe I could find them on social media and message them that she's here. After she told me that she couldn't remember any names, I was sketched out. What kind of individual doesn't know the full names of family or friends that they're looking for? That's definitely not normal. So I told her, I said, "I'm sorry, whoever you're looking for, they're not here anymore, and I don't know how else to help you." She stood there for about a minute and was just waiting. And it was kind of awkward. So then I asked her, "Do you need some food? Are you hungry?" And she said, "Yes." And I went to the kitchen to go find some stuff that I could give her. Had some fruit, some cereal bars, and some Rice Krispies. I put them all in a bag and then tied it up and then went back to the door and said, "Whoever you're looking for, I hope you find them. Good luck." Then I closed the door and then went back to my room. So then after that day, I closed my blinds and I closed the windows because that really freaked me out. Later that night, somebody was at the door again. This time it was a police officer. They said, "Oh, we've received some calls about somebody going through people's backyard." This police officer was probably talking about the person that came earlier. I didn't put 2 and 2 together. To me, they were harmless. They didn't seem like a criminal. They just seemed like somebody who was lost. The next morning, I was up nice and early to finish some homework that was due at noon. This was around 7:30. I hear knocking on the door again. Ugh. Who's knocking at 7:30? I'm in grind mode. I'm focused. Laser sharp. I'm doing my thing. Maybe it's just a mailman or whatever. I didn't want to deal with it. However, I did walk over to go peek to see who it was. And it was the same girl from yesterday. Why is she back? The door was closed. Everything was locked. You know what? It doesn't matter that she's back. She's just gonna leave anyways and realize that no one's home. After about an hour, my housemates text the group chat and say, "Josh, I think somebody's in the back. Can you go check?" Nah. If anything, they're outside the house. I'll go check when I'm done with my work. At the time, I was living with 4 Asian girls and one other guy. 15 minutes passed. They text me again in the group chat and say, "Josh, can you please check? I think somebody's in the house." The moment that I open the door, I see that stranger that I had a conversation with yesterday.
Hello there.
Literally walking out of my bathroom. I did like a triple take, like, "Hello? What?" You know in those cartoons when you need to scratch your eyes or like splash water in your face or slap yourself a few times to make sure that you're not going crazy? Yeah, I was having that moment. I hadn't been that shook in a long time. So then I just watched her. I gave her about 15 seconds and this is what she was doing. She walked to the kitchen. She was looking for some pans and pots. She grabs a cast iron skillet, the biggest one we have, puts it on the stove. She takes out this frozen pizza that she brought and then puts it on the cast iron skillet, then tries to turn on the stove. Oh my God, that's not how you reheat a pizza. After about 15 seconds, I kind of eased my way in. "Yo, how did you get in here? And what are you doing?" She replied, "The sheriff said that I could live here. This is my house. Now will you please leave me alone? I'm trying to make breakfast." At that point, I just said, okay. And then I went to my room, closed the door, texted my housemates and said, yes, there's a stranger in our kitchen and she's cooking right now. Don't come out. Then I called the cops, told them what happened. As I hung up the phone, I grabbed my camera and I started recording everything because I knew nobody was gonna believe me that this was going on, and I was 80% sure that this person was non-violent. However, I wasn't completely sure, so I didn't go back to confront her because she was in the kitchen, and by then she could have had knives, and I ain't down for no knife fight. And then the rest of the video pans out. I go into the garage, I tell the cops as they arrive, the cops go in, they talk to her, they ask her what she's doing, they take her stuff out of my friend's room that she broke into, escort her out, and that's about it. So the cops tell us that she did live there about 2 years ago because that's what her ID said, and that makes sense because that's when we first started leasing the house. We don't know who the house was leased to before us, but whatever. She technically did live there, but a while ago. And when I mentioned race in the video, a lot of people commented about how I was racist for saying that she was black. If it was a white lady, if it was a Hispanic man, I would have still described who it was. If it was also an Asian man who broke in, I would describe them in further detail just to give the cops an idea of who actually broke into the house. I'm finally making a response to this video because I want to address the lessons that I've learned from this whole experience. Number one is I had to reevaluate myself. Do I have unfair biases against people solely based on their race? And if I do, what are they? How did they get there? And how do I change my perspective? I think it's important that we're aware of how we think and how we treat other people. And number two is haters are gonna hate. There are plenty of comments about how I should have dealt with the situation differently, and a lot of people made fun of me for how I reacted in the video. And not gonna lie, it was pretty funny. I remember as the video kept getting more and more views, I kept getting a lot of mean comments and a lot of really racist comments against me and the person who broke into the house as well. So I kept thinking, maybe these comments aren't productive and maybe it's best if people can't comment. So then I took away the comments for about a year, and then I came back later looking for the comments and wondering where they went. And later on I found out it wasn't YouTube that turned off the comments, it was me. I was the one who was afraid of what people were saying, and that was kind of weird for me to realize because I'm not that person anymore. I really don't care. I think it's cool that people are able to speak their minds, and even if they say mean things, like that's more of a reflection on them than it is me. For example, if Adam tells me that I should have beat up this person or I should have shot this person, that just shows Adam's a violent person who thinks that violence is the answer when it comes to these kind of problems. And if Rachel calls me racist for describing the color of the person's skin, that just means that Rachel doesn't believe that I should describe people by the color of their skin. And that's her opinion, and that's who Rachel is. Here's another quote that I really like. Lions don't lose sleep over the opinions of sheep. Some people's opinions really don't matter. You get to choose whose opinion matters to you, and if somebody who's not really significant to you is saying things that don't really have value and they're not constructive at all, who cares? I think it's always important to listen to what people say and have feedback, but I think at the same time, a lot of people do and say things that are not productive, so their opinions shouldn't really hold a lot of weight towards who you are as a person. You can't control what other people say, but you can control how you react. Especially in universities where people are banned from saying specific things and there's trigger warnings and stuff like that. I think that's fine because you're being empathetic and you're trying to make sure that people feel safe. But at the same time, there needs to be some responsibility for people and how they react to things. And third thing is something that I didn't really learn from the video, but something that I've been observing in my life in general, and that there's more good people than there are bad. In terms of the comments, there are more people who are understanding and more people who are empathetic towards the person who broke in, and more people who were kind of just lighthearted and talked about the food versus the people who were totally rude and racist and saying mean things towards me and the person who broke in. For example, when we're all driving in our cars, there are people who drive drunk and are careless about how they drive, but for the most part, we all don't want to hit each other. We all want people to be safe. And I think, especially during times like these where there's a lot of political unrest, I think it's important that we remind ourselves that there are more good people than there are bad. And especially right now, there's a lot of things that still need to be done. If your role is to just check yourself for now, then check yourself. If your role is to check other people and have conversations with those around you, have conversations with those around you. And of course, don't be racist. Let's read through some comments. Boop. Dr. Lemon says, ain't nobody gonna bring up the fact that his 3 roommates are all females and he looks single as a Pringle. Yo, Dr. Lemon, that's me, man. Can we all just ignore the fact that the lady broke in and think about the fact that that guy lived with 3 girls as roommates? Be my president, you Asian man. And then there's mean comments after that. He's gay. My point still stands. He is the 4th girl. Dang, that's savage. Yeah, the housemates are hot. Here's a picture of us. You decide. Bunch of people were talking about how my house was copped. Copped. I didn't really know what that meant, so I had to look it up. And apparently, copped means when you claim someone else's property, for example, their house or couch. And I've heard it kind of used before, but to be honest, none of my friends or people I know really cop things. So I'm glad that I don't really know that word. But okay, whatever. And of course, you know, people called me racist. And then Chris comes through again and says, they didn't know what that person is capable of doing. Just like me, I have trust issues with black people, but that has nothing to do with being racist. Just like Asian, I am extra careful when my cat or dog is around them. And same with Jewish. I'm always checking my wallet, so it's not always about racism, it's how they act in the past. Not racist. Anyways, thanks for sticking around for this long. I do plan on making some more stuff about stuff. My friends on Facebook posted, why does all the weird stuff happen to you? Remind me, I'm gonna make a video about the time people use my pictures to catfish other people, other guys. Yeah, so it was weird transforming my room into this kind of studio thing, but it was fun. Here, let me show you. Still seem like see what I mean? Well, okay, I don't know if there's a good angle somewhere. ASMR. Follow me on Instagram and subscribe to my channel. You don't have to, but that'd be nice. All right, cool. Don't be racist. Peace. Still seem like